This is Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey. I am John.
And I'm Mike.
All right, Mike, let's go. Now, the first topic for this evening, Mike, is the Battle of Alberta. The last battle took place last Sunday evening. The Oilers, they won 4-2. The all-time record has the Oilers, and I was a little surprised when I saw this number, Mike. 117 wins, 124 losses, 19-9. So they've lost more than they've won against Calgary. I was kind of surprised. Why is this rivalry considered one of the best rivalries in the NHL, Mike?
Well, I think it's because, for one, it's an interprovincial rival. And I find that a lot of the provinces and states that have multiple teams in the same state or the same province tend to have these particular rivalries with each other. But I mean, the Calgary Edmonton one has gone back for like the 80s when, Gretzky, Messier, Lanny McDonald, Theron Fleury, these guys were playing, and it was always, they've always hyped it up really well, the Battle of Alberta. So it's always been a big thing, and I think the players kind of take it to heart that they want to be the best team in the province, and I think this is what makes it such a good rivalry. And like you said, the record's almost 500.
Yeah, it is almost 500.
So
Yeah.
I mean, each season each team has seemed to have had a lot of good games against each other. The teams are usually relatively close together in the standings. I mean, neither team is usually a really bad team. I mean, with the exception of a few seasons, but they're generally always fairly competitive. So I think that adds to it as well.
Now, when I just said my little piece here about it, I said that this is like one of the biggest rivalries in the NHL. I said it was the best rivalry or the biggest rivalry. But I mean, some people might argue, hey, Montreal, Toronto. I guess they could even say Toronto, Ottawa. Do you think, and there would be some other ones too, like Boston, Montreal would be considered a huge rivalry. Do you think that the Calgary Edmonton rivalry is the biggest one?
Geez, I don't know. It's tough to compare. I mean, you like you said, you got Boston, Montreal, and that goes back from to the 70s. You got Pittsburgh, Philadelphia.
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah.
another big one. Those are always uh, you know uh, physical games. I mean, if you look back when 10 years ago when both teams were relatively strong, you had Crosby against Giroux, you had Hartnell and Malkin. Like, you always had these big battles, and there's always fights in the game when you get like the third and fourth line guys too. So um, but just it's tough to say, but I'd say those are some of the top ones: Calgary, Edmonton, Boston, Montreal, Philly, Pittsburgh, Montreal, Toronto. So those are always the good rivalries that everybody likes to watch too. I'm sure that there's some of the highest drawing games that are on TV when people from the like when those teams from the same areas are playing.
Another one could be, and I just thought of it, might be the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders
Yeah, yeah, that
potentially.
could be that. I feel that it was more of a bigger rivalry back in the when the Islanders had their Stanley Cup years. I thought it was more of a battle back then, but I mean, it's still always going to be a rivalry between the two. So
Right. Okay. Well, I just want to know. So these two teams, they don't meet again until March, which I was kind of shocked at when I saw that. Why wouldn't the NHL take advantage of this rivalry and space these games out a little bit better? What do you think, Mike? What's going on here?
it's tough to figure some of the NHL scheduling that they do at times. It's more or less, I think, more travel related to try to coordinate everything so that the teams are uh, getting in all their games in against the other teams, and then they tend to have those interdivisional battles more frequent the last month of the season, and that's with every division. So I think it's more for the playoff implications that come down to divisions itself. So I think that's probably the reason why I mean, I'm sure it happens with other teams as well, and not just like Edmonton and Calgary. So
Okay, well, both teams have the exact same record. Well, they did when I made up these questions anyway. I believe it was Monday. 6-5-1. The Flames started the season with a huge bang. The Oilers started the season with a huge bust. I want to know, was this game last Sunday, could this be the turning point for both teams?
Um, I think the Oilers are gonna start stepping their game up now. McDavid's gonna be back tonight, so he didn't miss the projected time that they had thought that he was going to miss for his ankle injury. So he's back in the lineup tonight. They've got a little bit of, I know that I think they lost the last game the Oilers
They
had.
did.
So, but they've turned the season around from the start that they had. So I think that they're probably going to get things going here. I mean, they still have some players that are still kind of stuck in the mud, like Hyman and Skinner and a few of these guys. But they are supposed to put McDavid on a line with Hyman and Skinner tonight. So we'll see if that can get some production out of them. So, and, having McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines might get some of these other guys going. They'll be on the power play together, obviously, but I think that the Oilers are probably trending towards the right direction, and Calgary's probably becoming the team that we kind of thought they were going to be for the course of the season. So,
Okay, all right. Well, the second topic for this evening I want to talk about is the Winnipeg Jets. They only have one loss this year. They lost against my Toronto Maple Leafs. Sunday night against Tampa, it seemed like the cards were stacked against the Jets or in Tampa's favor. Tampa scored on what looked like, I thought, it looked like an easy interference call. I don't know if you saw the play or not. That's what I thought. The call was not made. The Jets, they challenged and they lost the challenge. So that gave Tampa a power play and then they scored. So here we are, I don't know, 5 minutes into the game or something like that. And the Jets are already down 2-0. Well, the Jets were not to be denied. They took that early 2-0 deficit and they ended up winning the game 7-4. Mike, why the heck does this team look so darn good? I mean, they just couldn't be stopped that night. The referees threw everything they could at them and it still didn't stop them.
well, they're getting production from three lines, and that's huge. Like your first line scoring, second line scoring, third line scoring. So, and your defense is contributing, and the goaltending has been great. I mean, it's the recipe for success right there. So, how long they can keep this going for at this pace is probably not sustainable. However, I mean, the way they've played, it's as soon as one line's not producing, one of the other lines is. So, I mean, they're getting a lot of contributions from a variety of players. So, that's just going to equal wins when it comes right down to it. And it's not like that they've been playing a bunch of weak teams either. They've been playing some fairly strong teams, as you said, Tampa Bay, Toronto. So it's not like they're just playing San Jose and Chicago and teams like that. So the Jets, like I said, they've got several guys that are on pace for potentially some career seasons. So if they can keep it going, then they could challenge to win that division. I mean, they're definitely a contender the way that they played so far.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on to our third topic. And that is once again the Washington Capitals. I keep on coming back to the Washington Capitals. And maybe I talk about them a little too often on this channel, but I just want to say they are 8-3-0. Capitals have jumped out of the gate with more victories than I thought they were going to get early on in the season. Now, Ovechkin has 7 goals in the season. He's 35 away from breaking Gretzky's record of 894 goals. Now, Mike, is it time to finally admit, though, that the Washington Capitals are more than just Alexander Ovechkin breaking the goal scoring record? What do you say?
Well, yeah, and the thing is, and I know we've discussed this previously, is they made a lot of moves in the offseason to make the team better. They brought in Thompson as a goalie, who was decent when he was with Vegas, and he's undefeated right now. He's 5-0. They brought in Jacob Chikrin from Ottawa, who's hurt right now, but provides some secondary scoring from the defense. And the forwards have all played very well. Some of their younger guys have stepped up. McMichael, Protas, Dylan Strome has taken his game to another level, which is huge to get, you know, the puck to Ovechkin, and Ovechkin looked like he's been drinking from the fountain of youth.
Well, that's
Uh,
what I was going to ask you. Did you think that Ovechkin just looks better on the ice this year than he did last
yeah,
year
I
for a
mean,
while?
better getting more opportunities. I mean,
Hmm.
he's played both wings a little bit so far this year too, so maybe getting some different looks and different angles at the net. So, uh, and like I said, Dylan Strome has set him up for, I think, probably all of his goals, if not most of them. So, having all of these guys contributing, I mean, when we did some of our predictions earlier, I figured Washington is a wild card team, and I still think that they are. I think they're the team that's going to be in that wild card spot at the end, and haven't done anything thus far to have me think otherwise. It looks like the Islanders, as I had said, is when we had talked, I thought those were the two teams that could miss out this year. It's starting to look more like it might be the Islanders, only because they've got some injuries now. Barzal's out, so
Right.
and he's their best player, and without him, they've had a tough time scoring goals. So I think that the Capitals should be good. Their offseason moves were great, so I think that moving forward, we may not see them, going like 8-3 at the clip that they're going here. However, I still think that they're in a good position to have a good season.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Well, our fourth topic for this evening is the Boston Bruins. Now, the Boston Bruins have been a stellar team for 20 plus years, at least 20 plus years. I wonder, though, if their time at the top has finally come to an end, Mike. Their record is 6-6-1, or at least it was when I made up these questions. Not terrible, obviously, 6-6-1, but that's not Boston good. That is for sure. I do see flashes of brilliance at times, but I'm also getting danger zone signals. They're showing up at times. Now, is this just a slow start for the Bruins? Slow start syndrome that a lot of these other teams have, and they'll pick it up again later on, or is the gravy train finally over, Mike?
That's a good question. The thing so far this year is the guys that were productive for them last year, or surprisingly productive for them last year, have not been. Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle, uh, Charlie McAvoy, all
Mm-hmm.
having terrible seasons so far. And Charlie McAvoy is your best defenseman. So if he's struggling, it's not really a surprise that the offense is struggling either. Zaka and Coyle were productive players, and they've got like 4 points or something like that around that range so far this season. Uh, Marchand has 10 points in 12 games, I think, or 13 games they've played. Pasternak's under a point a game right now, too, I believe. So it's and the fact that the coach benched him for a period too in one of the last games that they played, that doesn't help. So hopefully, I know that the coach is probably trying to give them a wake up call by doing this, and we'll see if it works. But I still think that Boston is probably a playoff team. Um, Slow start, maybe, but I don't really think that they're a lot better than what they're doing. I think they're better than what they're doing. However, how much better? I'm not sure. However, I still think they're going to be a playoff team. They'll get in there with probably in a wild card spot, or they'll battle with Toronto for the wild card spot, or Tampa Bay. So, but I still think they're a playoff team when it's all said and done.
Okay, Mike, it's time for our Hockey Profit segment where I would like to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. I'm going to throw them out at you. You will answer them as fast as you can, and I just let our listeners know that you do not know these questions in advance. So, are you ready, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, number one. Which NHL team will be the first to make a big trade this year in the NHL?
Boys, you caught me off guard with that one. I don't know if I have a quick answer with that.
That's all right.
Let's let's say the Boston Bruins. I mean, I think they need a jolt, so we'll see what they do.
Okay, number two. What NHL team will be the first to fire their head coach this year?
Boy, that's another tough one. Geez, I can't think of anybody right on the verge of getting canned right yet. So a tough call. I can't answer that one. No
All
answer.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, pass. So, all right, number three. Mark Stone has 20 points in 12 games played this year, 5 goals, 15 assists. How many points will Stone end the season with? Now, his highest point total ever, Mike, is 64.
I'm gonna go 68. I think he beats his highest, and I think he's not gonna get injured as frequently.
Okay, all right. Number four, the San Jose Sharks won 3 games in a row, and then they won again the other night. So now they have 4 wins. How many games will it take for the Sharks to get their fifth win? Now they play tomorrow against Minnesota.
They're not gonna win tomorrow. Fifth
So no,
win in a week. Within a week, they'll get the fifth win.
all right, okay. And finally, number five, and I'm sure you'll be glad when this is over with. But Mike, the Flyers D man Travis Sanheim, he leads the defense on the team with 5 points in 12 games. Will Travis have the most points by the end of the year on the Flyers defense?
Yes.
Yes. How many do you think he could pick up this year? I mean, he doesn't have a
I'd
lot,
say
but what do you think?
between 35 and 40.
35. Okay. Well, all right. Well, Mike, that only took you 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, I'm sorry I threw in such a couple of really toughies there, but hey, that's all right. You did good. You did good. That's all right. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to our discussion tonight?
Not for tonight, but I think next week what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of a recap or a first month in progress report on maybe some of the predictions that we made before the season to see where we're at in regards to, where some teams are, where some of the players are, and that sort of thing. See if we're on track for anything in that regard.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll do that up next week. And remember, folks, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know where we went wrong in the comment section. That is what it's for. And we will see you next week. Later.
Later.